too.
Yeah, same. Hello, hello. Welcome to Weather-weenies. It's Friday. I'm Dana. This is Ryan.
Hello, Dana. Nice to have you.
I know. I feel like now I'm like the ghost of Weather-weenies. I like appear every once in a while, vanish for a while, and then come back. It depends on what we're doing. And right now we're only having 2 people.
Yeah, and you also were doing mornings last week.
I was,
and then you got sick, and then a bunch of stuff. But yeah, we're gonna try to get it back to that we can have easily 3 people in here.
Yeah. Right now we would all have to like squish into this side of the desk, which we could do.
Well, and the reason being, like, we can still have 3 people here. Like, it works. We do it at noon.
That's
at
true,
12:30.
yeah.
But we switched to a new production control room, and like this just isn't high on the priority list to figure out a way to get graphics to work with 3 people, all that stuff.
Yeah,
So,
we were like, we'll do whatever needs to be done, and then eventually we'll start to work.
I think we'll be able to get it resolved fairly soon.
I think so.
Good to have you.
Glad to be here.
We actually have randomly a lot of stuff that we can talk about today. For whatever reason, was just cranking out graphics this morning.
Just for funsies?
Yeah, so partially because the month ended. So there's April in Portland. Let me move this so you can see.
I want to be able
There
to
we
see.
go.
Okay. I feel like that's pretty reflective of how we felt. Wasn't super warm, wasn't super cold.
No, and it was that middle of the month week where I thought, well, maybe we'll end up above average, and then it just turned chilly to end the month. And in Bangor, it actually was just about normal.
At 73, though, not too shabby.
Yeah.
For Monday.
Yep.
Not bad, not bad.
And then we ended the month with some needed rain, too.
Yeah, it was, in some spots, I felt like it wasn't as much as I expected. And in some spots, like Camden, like 2.5 inches. It's pretty good.
Right, and you were, I'm trying to think. So it pretty much matched what we were forecasting, but you weren't forecasting like Tuesday. You were off on Tuesday, for example. But York County came up a little short. I thought they would have gotten at least a
That's
half
what I
an
was
inch.
thinking. Like I saw, I think, the map that Al and I put together, and I was like, okay.
Yeah. It pretty much worked, but York County definitely was short. This graphic I pulled in this week, it just kind of charts the monthly precipitation departure.
All right.
So you get the whole month there.
Pulling in some fun stuff.
Yeah, and you can see Portland was running a huge deficit, and then we helped a little bit.
Like a tiny little bit.
Bangor, you can actually see it's a little different. They ended up above average for the month, and they didn't have as much of a deficit. So
Interesting.
Yeah.
I actually, off the top of my head, don't necessarily know why that is.
I don't either. It just seems like maybe there were more numerous showers in central and northern Maine because Caribou actually was above by an inch.
Okay.
That was good.
Yeah.
Of course, viewers of this show know we have a long way to go to get out of the drought.
Yes, it's. I feel like it's something that you guys have talked about here. Like I've talked about it on the weekend shows.
Right.
It's just permeated its way into all of our forecasting.
Yeah, and I bet you've encountered this too. There are some people who say, "Oh, well, but my yard's still muddy. It's still mud season." That's because at the surface it can still be wet, particularly after it rains.
Exactly.
It's a deep groundwater issue. We got to like recharge the aquifers and all that. So.
And a lot of that isn't visual.
Right.
So, yeah, once essentially you go beneath the surface, you're like, we're telling a different story between what's going on up here versus
Yeah,
below.
so we have a ways to go, and I don't want a wet summer at all. I don't think anybody wants a wet summer.
We had a snowy winter.
Right.
It's time for we deserve our nice, good, sunny summer.
Yeah, and I guess the only issue would be with that, if we have a really nice summer without much rain, the drought will really be a problem in the summer again. Because we're not out of it.
Going into the winter, National Weather Service, particularly our hydrologist, was talking about how going through the winter where we already are,
Right.
if we don't get like a crazy rainy like spring into summer, that we could hold on to this drought for a decent period of time.
To that point, I made this graphic on the day that you were off. This is what the drought monitor was in late October.
Yeah, that was pretty crazy.
Yeah.
43% extreme drought is quite bad.
These percentages aren't accurate because they're from last week, but you can at least tell from the colors that once it switches back to October, that's October.
So it's a pretty
where we are now.
Substantial
Definitely.
difference.
Yeah, and actually you kind of see how, northern Maine was above average for precipitation, and now they're just in dry, which isn't really a significant category.
Yeah, I've actually had this debate with people before because dry is technically like D0.
Yeah.
So there's actually like a debate whether or not people say, well, is that drought or not?
Right.
Like, because I think I said at one point, this was like back in the summer or the spring, I was like, oh, like the entire state is in drought. But it was like this, where some of it was D0. And I think it was actually a couple people say to me, they were like, well, that's not drought. Like, that's
just the heads up category, kind of.
And I was kind of like, technically, yes, but I don't know if I like that.
I view it as like the heads up category that, like, if you're dry for longer, after, if you're dry in that yellow area, like you're teetering. So to speak.
Especially because the next category up is moderate.
Right.
It's not light.
Right. No, I totally hear you.
That's one of those things where it's like a technicality, but I'm like, but you know what I mean.
Right.
You know what I mean.
One other interesting thing, this is a webcam as of Friday afternoon up on Moosehead Lake. They declared the ice out there this morning. And I found out from Aaron, our 207 producer, Don Carrigan, is actually going to have a story all about the tradition of the ice out on Monday on 207.
That's awesome.
I think Don was a little disappointed they declared it today.
Oh, no.
But you can tell by this, they have records that go back to the 1800s up there.
I think I heard you talking about this earlier today because you were shocked that they kept those historical records so far back.
Yeah.
I'm also, actually, this is a good, mainer question. What is considered an ice out? Like, how much ice can you have left on the lake?
It's very, very subjective.
Okay.
And it varies lake to lake. Like Lake Winnipesaukee in New Hampshire, it's declared when there's a boat, the Mount Washington boat. Not really a ferry, I guess, but it goes from Laconia across the lake.
Okay.
And once they deem it can safely go across the lake, it's considered ice out.
Even if there's still like
there can still be some chunks, and they even said up at Moosehead today there still were some chunks in spots.
That was my question when I first heard us talking about this. Was like, how subjective is it?
Right.
Is it a certain percentage? Is it no ice at all?
It's definitely not no ice at all.
See, that's why I feel like intuitively.
And that's why these records, like, they're kind of funny, like the. May 29th of 1878, apparently that was the day.
One person's 5% ice,
right.
Another person's 10% ice.
Yeah. So anyway, if you want to hear more on that, Dawn's got the whole story coming up
I'm going to have to watch
on Monday.
That. I'm excited about that.
Yeah. We'll quickly show you the 7-day before we talk in more detail about the weekend. I just want to say check in with Christian and Dana. If you're watching this on Saturday or Sunday morning, it is a tricky weekend forecast as to how much rain will we get.
It's weird and it's annoying me in that way.
Yeah. We're gonna first have this disturbance, this front that you see out over Ohio, that comes through Saturday morning. So with that, there are going to be some showers, and given the timing of it and the high elevations, it'll be cold enough for some wet snow.
Listen, it's May 1st.
Yeah. And unfortunately, Saturday has trended cloudier and a little wetter. It's just one of those days where showers may come and go, but you get dry periods between the showers.
Yeah, and there's no even like period of time where you can say like this would be the driest period of the day. Like it's going to be the entire day of like off and on.
Yeah, like if you have an outdoor event on Saturday, you are going to get rain probably a couple of times.
Yeah,
and then
how long your event is.
Right, and then in between dries out for a little bit, maybe a peak of sun. So that's Saturday. Our Sunday issue pretty much remains the same in that there's a big storm far
offshore.
Yeah. We're feeling more confident. Yeah, we're feeling more confident that it's more of an Eastern Maine thing. So.
Yes, I just have the feeling it's going like more of like a gut feeling that it's going to keep creeping closer as we get towards the weekend. Because I feel like it's already done that a little bit.
And we saw that happen this winter with several storms.
Yes,
too.
trend is your friend.
Yeah,
gets a little closer. That's why Sunday, to me at least, is leaning rainier and rainier.
Yeah. And the farther east in the state you are, certainly the wetter it will be.
I mean, you can see the stripes.
Yeah.
On that map.
I'll show you our model, which is more optimistic. And stand by. So this really is just a down east event on our model with maybe a pop-up shower elsewhere. Obviously, we're leaning a little bit farther
Yeah.
west. So this is what I put the rain chances at. And maybe in Portland we get some sun by the end of the day, possible.
Possibly, yeah.
So pretty much every model had some clearing before sunset here. So even on the wettest ones.
Yeah. That one's definitely a little bit of. If this was a snowstorm, we would be like heads down on the table,
Right.
like please.
And honestly, if it were a Tuesday, I wouldn't be as wound up about it. I hate that it's a Sunday during the time of year that people do have outdoor plans.
This is true.
Yeah, I think we're being told to wrap it up.
Yeah, I heard 10 minutes, so since we're chatting it up.
It was a good show. Well, nice to have you here.
Yes,
Hopefully we'll
thank
get
you.
you back next week. I think it's next week you're here, right?
I think so.
I know you got some trips planned, so
True.
We'll get you
I think
back.
I'll be here, yeah.
Alrighty.
In any case, if you're watching this through the weekend, check in with me and Christian for updates on that weekend forecast.
See ya.